I'll mention a couple of things. You know, in my home state of Texas, uh, the jihadis are literally uh, preparing for battle, war, real kinetic war. And our governor is bragging that we're taking away school vouchers as an option for a handful of Muslim organizations. I mean, they're sitting in their places laughing, like these, like who knew America was run by such cowards and simpletons? You know, talking about we're gonna sue you. You think they care? They'll go to court. They'll keep you tied up so long, and the whole time they will be advancing, and they'll win the war while you think you're doing something by suing them in court. It's a joke. It's a joke, and it comes from a complete lack of understanding of who the enemy is and how they're operating. So that's the second thing. The second part of the answer to that is about 7.5 years ago, um, I began. So I'll go back to 2010 to 14 timeframe, and I did a lot of work in Tennessee. And Tennessee was the primary target of the Islamic movement. And they were the primary target of the Islamic movement because, from the Islamic movement standpoint, see, you can't look at this through our eyes. That's why we're losing the war. When you look at it through their eyes, Tennessee, from their perspective, was the buckle of the Bible Belt. And if they took Tennessee, and they did, with the help of a Republican governor, I might add, they took it. And they just, the leadership totally capitulated. So from their perspective, they took Tennessee. And then about 8 years ago, the guy that was a very senior Islamic scholar in the United States, who was the leader of something called the Memphis Islamic Center, left Tennessee and moved to where? To Plano, Texas. And when that happened, because he was one of the first Muslim Brotherhood leaders I took a deep dive on when I was in the FBI, he moves from Tennessee to Texas, and I started alerting people in my network saying, this is a red flag. This means they are targeting Texas. And what have we seen over the last 7 years in Texas? Significant movement of Muslims into Texas, building lots of organizations because that's how they operate, getting involved in interfaith outreach as Texas, recruiting a Texas pastor and pulling them up to the international level of what they're doing. And we now see it. And we only see it, the citizens only see it because it's bubbling up in your face. And the problem is, when it bubbles up in your face, they don't care that you see it. And that's the problem. By the time it's right in your face, it's almost too late. Now, I do not believe it's too late, but you have to understand, Islamic leaders around the United States are encouraging Muslims to go to Texas to wage jihad. And that's what they're doing. And they're coming from all over the country. And in the same way, I would say to American patriots, we call you to Texas, because this is going to be, Alamo Part 2. The difference is we need to stand on the wall and win. We need to think of the Battle of San Jacinto is that last great battle here in Texas, because a number of states are already in real dire straits. Texas is in a very, very bad way. The key cities are controlled by the communists, and the Islamic movement here. I'll just give an example. More jihadi attacks in Texas than anywhere in the United States. The largest Islamic charity in America was in Texas, the Holy Land Foundation for Relief and Development. It was the largest Islamic charity in America, and it was a Hamas terrorist organization, convicted, and its leaders sentenced to very lengthy jail sentences. The headquarters for Hamas in the United States is Chicago, Illinois. The number 2 hub for Hamas in the United States, Dallas, Texas. So if you want to know, and by the way, we rank Houston, Texas as the single worst city in America for the combined communist and jihadi threat. So if you want to know if the problem is real, it's real. The difference is the Islamic movement is smart enough in Houston not to do what they're doing in Dearborn, Hamtramck, Minneapolis, St. Paul, because there's different tactics being used there. They are steamrolling those communities, and what's the leadership doing? They're backing the jihadis, and this is where we are. It's a war. I would encourage people, believe your eyes, let your eyes engage your brain, because what you're seeing is real and it's happening in real time. When you look at it through the lens that the enemy sees it through, and the enemy only sees relations with non-Muslims through the lens of Sharia. As a matter of fact, the leadership of the entire Muslim world is on record through the Cairo Declaration on Human Rights in Islam that was approved by the head of state and king of every Muslim nation on earth in 1990, served officially to the United Nations as a part of the record of the United Nations. And the last two articles on the Cairo Declaration on Human Rights in Islam say that we, the entire Muslim world, only understand the articles in this declaration through the lens of Islamic Sharia. And specifically, the last article, Article 25, says Islamic, and this is a quote, Islamic Sharia is the only source of reference for the articles in this Declaration on Human Rights in Islam, which means when an Islamic leader uses the phrase human rights, they legally mean imposing Sharia, the imposition of Sharia. The fact that we have leaders that don't even know the Cairo Declaration exists is evidence of their malfeasance and misprision of treason. So that's on record officially at the geopolitical level under the OIC, Organization of Islamic Cooperation, which is every Muslim nation on earth, 56 members, plus one of the members, the 57th member, which is something they call the State of Palestine. And so that is on the official record. Everything they do, the leaders of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Turkey, UAE, Egypt, Iran, everything they do, the way they view it is through the lens of Sharia.